is going to share a short story about a mother's intuition with a twist. Please welcome Kelly Ruxer.
My story is called The Monitor.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Rachel loved to use the analogy of climbing the notorious Mount Everest when it came to the act of raising a child. Both were the lifetime goal of many, and neither was a journey for cowards. To Rachel, motherhood also seemed at times death-defying and required much preparation and cost for the undertaking to pull it off safely for all parties involved. The climb was grueling and long, but though the climbers were being tested to their very limits, they were, in their minds, already planning on when they would undertake the challenge again. Parenting, mountain climbing, the journey could break a person, but all the way up, and especially at the very summit, one simply could not believe the incredible view. Thus, what was essential for Rachel's survival was the ultimate survival pack. Hers came camouflaged as a chic, luxuriantly soft cream leather tote made by Kate Spade. But for all its sartorial savoir-faire, that bag contained for Rachel the indispensable. The keys, the wallet, the lipstick, the receipts, the hairbrush, the phone. God, no survival without that phone. The dry cleaning ticket, the children's chewable Tylenol, the gum, the mints, the hand lotion, the tampons, the Kindle, the sunglasses, the pepper spray, the notepad, the coupons, the lip balm, the tissues, the nail clippers. The diamond stud earrings at bottom, and for which Rachel had been searching for no less than 2 weeks. The little plastic connector piece that she would put on Rowan's wooden chopsticks whenever they went out for ramen so that his 9-year-old hands could enjoy the novelty of eating Asian style. And one old baby monitor. Rachel's new Kate Spade had arrived in a large teal box bearing the designer logo writ large across the top in calligraphic scrawl, all adorned with a big brown felt bow. After she had poured herself a deep glass of red wine, Rachel began the ritualistic inventory and transfer of her items from the old bag to the new. As she drew it out from the old tote's depths, the baby monitor's electrical cord caught on her keys and towed them along, causing the depression of the car lock button. A muffled doit-doit of the car alarm activation sounded from the garage just beyond the kitchen walls. Rachel's husband, Michael, stopped to rub her shoulders as he passed by and stood taking in the collection strewn about the countertop. Why the heck do you have that in there? He reached for the monitor, turning it over in his hand curiously. Is that the same one you keep on your nightstand? Mm-hmm, she replied. Rachel's eyes closed as she dug around the bottom of the old bag, her fingers adroitly looking for stray items among the pockets. She found 3 coins and a safety pin and placed them on the kitchen counter with the rest of her collection. Michael gave the monitor a little toss and catch. Where's the receiver? I'll put it in the Goodwill bin with the other stuff, he said. Her response was abrupt, almost physical. Stop! Don't! Rachel realized the volume of her own voice and then added more quietly, I need that. Don't take it. She held out her hand to him. Whoa, okay, babe. Michael laughed and handed it back to her. He watched as she wrapped the cord around the monitor and placed it in her lap before continuing her project. I just meant that, well, Rowan's 9, and I'm pretty sure he... Oh, shit, wait, are you pregnant? No. Now Rachel laughed. I'm carrying it around for... She thought for a moment on this, formulating an answer that would make sense to someone else. I'm carrying it around for sentimental reasons, I guess. Do you even have the receiver? Like, sitting in Rose's room, listening to his every move? Michael pushed his hands down into his pockets and leaned back on the counter. He watched as Rachel inverted the old tote, gave it a little shake, dislodging 2 more coins that clinked musically as they bounced on the countertop. No, she replied. I haven't seen that piece in a long time. Michael waited a moment or 2 for more, but no further explanation came. Not that it's a big deal or anything, Michael pressed gently. But didn't you just read some self-help bestseller by this Japanese chick who is a decluttered genius? I think I recall you going through our house in this crazy, what did you call it? "Oh yeah, a purge," he said, his fingers making the little air quotes as he said the word. "That was it. You were big-time purging, like you were a born-again purger not 3 months ago after you read her book." He picked up and inspected a weathered receipt from Taco Deli and then placed it back on the pile. "So why keep the monitor?" Rachel shot him an annoyed glance. "Hey," he backpedaled, raising his palms toward her in a show of surrender. "Not that I care, okay? It's just a curious thing to haul around and keep on your nightstand every night when your son is 9 years old and perfectly capable of coming down the stairs when he needs something, which is usually food, which he usually gets himself." "Well," Rachel said systematically, picking up her tote items and placing them in their new pockets and pouches. That cluttered guru also advised her followers to keep useless items if they bring a sense of joy, so Rachel shrugged. "The baby monitor brings me joy." She smiled sweetly at him and held up said object of joy. She kept her eyes trained on Michael as she placed it with deliberate slowness into the wide mouth of the new Autumn Line Kate Spade hobo tote. "A non-working baby monitor that can produce nothing but crackly static if you plug it in brings you joy?" Michael questioned. It was true, what she had said about the monitor. It brought her joy. Not the type of joy the minimalist, monastically ascetic Japanese declutter guru had meant, though. Rather, an unlikely secret truth about the object gave Rachel joy. The monitor was a talisman that protected Rowan. Not had protected Rowan, as in the past tense, when it sat at his cribside so many years ago, alerting Rachel to his cries and babbling, his needs and his schedule. Rachel believed that this monitor, old, unplugged, and dark, protected him now, would protect him always. Rowan was now a precocious, lanky, perpetually hungry 9-year-old, a fact that still managed to take Rachel by surprise. He was dress himself 9, play Little League 9, camp with Boy Scouts 9, binge read Harry Potter novels 9. He was a 9 that meant he went out into the world of school, play, and activities in a way that kept her wanting to guard his every move. A 9 that prohibited her from being a presence that shielded him from all imaginable harm. But this useless-looking little box to which she secretly clung, she knew somehow it protected Rowan. She discovered this crazy-sounding fact when Rowan was 22 months old. He was an hour into his afternoon nap while Rachel was catching up on some freelance work she had acquired in lieu of going back to work full-time. It was a morning of absolute perfection. The sliding glass door was open, and she worked across from it for the opportunity to enjoy the spring breezes that would all too soon give way to the crushing Texas heat in just a matter of weeks. She could hear the pool cleaning guy open the pool cover and unload his equipment off the back patio, his 5-gallon buckets and poles and nets making a mild racket. A gentle hiss came from the monitor at her side as it communicated wirelessly with the receiver next to Rowan's crib. Every now and then she would catch a thump or a rustle of blankets as Rowan, always a restless sleeper, tossed and turned. She caught one now and smiled. She needed to make a call to a client and realized that she had left her cell phone on the Bluetooth mount in the minivan. She went to retrieve it, and upon coming back inside, she stopped in the kitchen to make some tea. That's when she heard it. Mommy. It was a whiny, fussy call of her name that Rowan used when he was feeling unwell or had waked from his nap too quickly out of a deep sleep. She stopped and listened. A few seconds later, she heard it again. Mommy? This time her name was urgent, coupled with the mewling whimper that was crescendoing to a full-on cry. She dropped what she was doing and headed for his room. Rowan was ending his nap a little earlier than usual, and she still had some work to get done. Maybe she could coax him back down for just 30 more minutes. Or she could just crack that door for a quick peek without actually going in. He was getting better and better at settling himself down every day. By the time she got to his bedroom door, he seemed to have quieted down, so she opted for the peek. Turning the door handle with that methodical slowness and optimal silence that all parents utilize in the effort to remain inconspicuous to tiny eyes, Rachel opened the door just the smallest eye-hole crack and peered in. When she saw that Rowan's crib was empty, she rushed in with a whoosh and bent over the crib, disbelieving. Rowan was gone. A frantic search commenced with Rachel calling Rowan's name over and over. Rowan, Rowan, Rowan! Under the crib, the closet, the playroom, the bathroom, the master suite, the living room, the laundry room, the kitchen. Where could he be? She had just heard him on the monitor, She ran into room twice, and a rising sense of panic was beginning to impose upon Rachel's rational consciousness. She was passing by her workspace for another loop of the house when she heard it again. "Mommy!" "Rowan!" she screamed, and she stopped to grab the monitor. It was then that she saw him. A breeze was just coming through the open sliding glass door, causing the white curtains to undulate. They swept up and parted like the curtains of a stage play, opening onto a dramatic scene. There, a tiny child stands at the edge of a precipice, a vast, crystal-clear blue ocean spread before him, beckoning. Rachel had never before experienced the sensation of time slowing down to a crawl, all sights and sensations stretching out for what feels like a sharp, crisp infinite. She has never felt it since. As she saw Rowan standing at the pool's edge, her whole body snapped and flexed, and she began to move towards him. At precisely that same moment, Rowan moved forward and down into the water. His splash was followed by hers by a mere millisecond as she dove in after him, her hands grasping his little torso before her body had even hit the water. For a few seconds, both their bodies rolled and descended in this graceful plummet, tiny bubbles of air and agitation enveloping them. Then Rachel's feet found purchase at pool bottom. She bent her knees and pushed to propel them upward. Together they broke surface with a giant upward gush of water. She struggled momentarily about where and how to hold him as she clawed through the water to the pool's edge. They were met instantly by the wild-eyed, frantic pool guy, yelling and grabbing as he helped to pull the both of them out of the water. Rachel barely heard his exclamations of shock and apology that were both commiserative and defensive as he tried desperately to distance himself from blame. Rachel struggled to catch her breath between sobs, while a sputtering and screeching Rowan clawed at her hair, clawed at her chest. She barely nodded her awkward thanks, grabbed Rowan up, and hauled him into the house. Together they clutched each other in the laundry room, the puddle forming at their feet half pool water, half shared tears of terror and relief. Rachel grabbed a towel, wrapped it tightly around her shivering son, and carried him to his room. They collapsed in the rocking chair adjacent to his crib and finally attempted to collect themselves. Mindless of her own soaked clothing and hair, she peeled Rowan out of his clothing and diaper. Then she rose to put him in his crib while she went to his bureau for a change of clothes. He screamed as she released him, her maternal grasp still an absolute requirement of his own recovery. "Oh, Ro, honey, I know. Just a sec," Rachel cried, her voice breaking as she worked. "Mommy needs to get you some dry clothes, baby." She madly dug through the drawers, grabbed the first thing she could reach, turned around, and froze. Rachel watched in astonishment as her young son hitched a leg up over the railing of his crib, hoisted himself over, and lowered himself down with the precision of a special ops agent. As he made footfall, Rowan ran to her wet leg and tried to claw his way up. She crushed his tiny body to her chest and sat them both down slowly in the nearby rocker, all the while taking in what she had just witnessed. Rowan could scale the side of his crib. He'd done this clearly. Rowan had escaped his crib, gotten through his bedroom door, and then what? Shut it closed again? The rustling on the monitor, the thump. This is what she had heard. The monitor. She had heard her son on the monitor. He had called her name twice. A chill ran through Rachel that had nothing to do with her sodden state as she thought about the monitor. She had heard her name and come looking for Rowan. She had heard her name when Rowan wasn't even in the room. Rowan had been in danger and she had been called by the monitor. The monitor. That long ago afternoon had shattered any sense of peace Rachel had as a mother for months to come. Why she had never spoken of the pool incident to Michael? It was a question that she struggled to answer even for herself. He would have been sympathetic, of course, understanding in the way of all great dads who allow their son to climb trees, ride bikes in the street, or stare into the face of fastball pitches, all without once breaking a parental sweat. In some part, it was a deeply embedded sense of shame and guilt she carried with her from such a close call. Thus she spoke of it to no one, not even to Rowan as a cautionary tale. But guilt and shame alone were not the only reasons. Like all souls whose faith and fear give talismanic power to ordinary objects, She had the feeling that any mention of it would break some charm of protection that this insignificant-looking piece of electrical equipment possessed. For many years, she had used the monitor to listen in on Rowan's nocturnal tossing and turning long after it was necessary to do so. By age 6, he had already unplugged the receiver himself and taken it outside to use as a quote-unquote walkie-talkie space comm link, whereby he promptly lost it in the green belt behind the house. Still, the monitor remained by her side, and her belief in it was unfailing. To the best of her knowledge, Rowan had never again faced such peril, and the monitor had never again called out her name of its own accord. For Rachel, this was, ironically, proof enough of its protective powers. When Rowan began to attend school, that final physical bond between the two of them had to be stretched out over miles, over hallways, desks, moving around teachers, moving between playmates. She had then begun to carry the monitor in her bag. For what was the alternative? Blind faith in good karma? A reliance on the world to recognize the fragility of a child and join a cooperative effort to see him to manhood unscathed? She knew the monitor as a good luck charm, as periapt, as amulet bordered on the ridiculous. But did not all mothers have these? The Sharpie, which they used to label every single thing, even the child himself, to protect against theft or loss. That box in the back corner of the closet which would never be relinquished, the one containing once cherished blankets and loveys, layettes, and baby books. Each thing in that box was a talisman against growing up, moving on, or the eventual forgetting of that miracle that the body once held two souls in one. That soft silken lock of hair that rests pressed between two pages lovingly written in a feminine hand, or curled in a keepsake box. A mother's amulet against forgetting that their burgeoning little human beings were once that fair, once that fragrant, once that beautifully feral. Rachel clutched her bag for comfort now as Michael gently leaned in. He kissed the top of her head gently and strolled away, calling out his son's name in a loud fatherly bellow. Finished was her preparation, her taking of stock of all that she had carried both in her bag and in her heart. She would go forth about the world, and so would her beloved son, both of them climbing in close parallel lives to their own summits of life. And Rachel felt ready, with all the items indispensable for her survival of motherhood.
All right, our next roulette gives